here in the studio. You can get it with your how questions. You can reach us at 440-946-9468. Again, it's 440-946-WINT. If you're more of a technology folks, and maybe you are because you're listening to the Tech Talk guys before us, you can go to our website, MaximumVP.com/how, H-O-W. A little form there you can submit. Or you can email us at radio@MaximumVP.com. We'll get your question on the air and help answer your how question. So the topic tonight we've been talking about is how do we keep the small business guys from being ignored when it relates to what's kind of going on. And Jack's got a theory that he was touching on at the end of the last segment about the rigged system. So I'm going to let Jack share a little story with you about the rigged system that he's talking about.
Okay, the rigged system, it consists of bureaucrats. That's the biggest part of it, because there's a lot of government money that's doled out and aimed at small businesses. And usually they're startups. Usually they're fancy pants companies that are exciting and are written about and talked about. Usually nobody except the people running the company knows what it all means. But nonetheless, it's sexy and it's cool. You also have fancy professors, and basically the system is rigged for this reason. Let me give you an example. One of our clients has a company that is not a startup, a fancy high-tech company. It's a solid company, good values, good profits, good growth potential. It supplies a huge need in the community and marketplace, but it's not sexy. But he wanted to expand, rightfully so, because he's making money hand over fist, and he wanted to go to a community, a little suburban community. And in order for him to be doing business in this suburban community, he had to pay the frickin' mayor, if he wanted to do it, and he didn't, ultimately, to his benefit. He had to pay the mayor off in an under-table deal to get the company to be located in this guy's community. And the whole reason was that he didn't want this kind of business in his community. Now, that's a rigged system. That's the downside of a rigged system. It's not so much what we're talking about here, but it relates to what we're talking about here. If he had a sexy IT company, this mayor would knock himself out to help him. That's the supposition, and I think that would be a very valid supposition. Yeah, this guy should go to jail, a petty thief. That's what he is. But I'm not going to tell you who he is, but that's one of the things that just frosts us.
Okay. To me, I was starting to think about it, as I was mentioning earlier, in terms of listening to Steve Case, who people are asking for his advice and his take on things. And I think it's rigged. All of a sudden, he talked about, too, he said one of the other stats he shared was in terms of where the dollars go from a venture capital standpoint. 90%, 90, goes to men entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Only 10 go to female entrepreneurs. He said 1% goes to African Americans.
That's a very interesting, well, when you roll it back, knowing what we know, I guess it really isn't surprising. But it was surprising when I heard it, because I never really thought deep about it, as most of us haven't. Where does that money go? Who gets it? So, yeah, 10% women, 1% African American. So, what does that tell us?
What he concluded was it still matters who you know and what you look like.
That's right. Those are the demographics supporting it. That's correct. That's exactly what he said. To me, it's important to be able to tell their stories. I think most people don't tell their stories well, and I think it's hard. I think it's you're making the point about the politician who's kind of thinking real small and trying to line his own pockets. I think the politicians, they want to have these big sexy stories that they can kind of campaign on. They're always trying to find ways to get reelected. And to us, what's a more sexy story if you're a mayor of a small town that you brought in some high-tech company, or that you helped 100 companies that are already there get better? What a great story that would be. I mean, framed up properly, and your community is going to prosper because they're going to prosper. So if you give them the education and the tools and the assistance, they're going to get better. I mean, that's how it's done. So to withhold it, no, it's all wrong. It's all wrong.
Well, part of what Steve Case brought up too, in terms of what the role of government is, and I agree with him. Most people say get government all together, and again, there's a place for government. The reason that most people say get them all together is they've overstepped their bounds. The government actually will take some pretty good sized risks. You have examples of in terms of a lot of the technology that we all take for granted today, whether it be going to your weather app or GPS app. Those are all satellites and technology that was helped funded by the Department of Defense, right? 50 plus years ago. And so there are certain things that the government does well, and is able to kind of put dollars to good use that we can all then benefit from. But then take it and then try to put it into private hands sometimes, or really force all these big dollars into startups that are high risk. Versus, again, how do we help the guys that are already there? The established folks who are there doing it.
That's what we'd like to see more advocacy for, the startup or the established companies that are there. There's a need, there's no question, and funding startups, there has to be that assistance, and they do often grow. Well, I don't know if often's the right word. They do grow occasionally into big home runs that employ tens of thousands of people. That's not the norm, though. So why not put more emphasis on helping small established business? Why not? Makes sense to us, that's for sure.
Yes, it does. I think, again, when I say it's too hard, people aren't sure how to do it. Come back to the how question. They aren't sure how to start to roll it out or make the programs accessible. I think part of the areas where governments get in the way is the regulations in the banking industry are very difficult. If you look, and most you can look around, whether you live in a small community or not, you probably live near a small community. And a lot of these community banks that exist, or that used to exist, or you have a lot of credit unions now that exist. And what they're doing is they're very small institutions. It's very personal. Banking used to be a very personal thing. And money was in the community, and they'd help the things in the community, whether it be putting money into your house, putting money into the local garage, or the local hair salon, whatever it might be. It was local. And so the banks would have a little more entrepreneurish style, where they'd take bets on the people, because they knew the people. Hey, Jack, I know you're a good guy, so I'm not going to put all the weight into whatever forms I'm making you fill out, make you jump through 17 hoops, and I'm always looking for a reason to say no to you.
Oh, just like.
Of course, I'm looking for a reason to help you. I'm looking for a reason to say yes, and how can I help give you some of this funding, right?
Just like Bailey Savings and Loan. Right?
Okay, there you go.
I mean, who doesn't know what Bailey Savings and Loan is out there?
Now, come on, well.
Few people, no, even young millennials may. I think almost everybody knows.
You know who Potter is? Mr. Potter?
Jake Potter, he's batting .382 for, no, not that guy.
Not that. The guy in the wheelchair. Stricken with polio.
It's a wonderful life.
Yes, it is.
And it's wonderful because you had the ability to do what Bailey Savings and Loan did. Invest in small businesses, not sure things, not triple guarantees, not all that stuff. Just help people achieve what they really want to achieve innately. And what happened to those days? How did that get swept away? And so what we get are owners of small companies who have great difficulty getting money to grow their business, and they're willing to put in 100-hour weeks. Cash shouldn't be the biggest deal when they need it most. It just shouldn't be as big a deal as it is. So that's what we're kind of talking about, trying to make a case for why is it so hard for small businesses to get cash.
One of the things we focus on with our clients, we have our process we use. It's called the 7 keys to success. And the 7th and often overlooked, or maybe at least understood key, is presenting. And so be able to tell your story. If you can tell your story as an owner of a company, you become very attractive to a lot of people. Okay, and it could be financing sources, it could be employees, it could be vendors, it could be whoever. But you become very attractive when you're able to tell your story. Because part of telling your story is telling what you're all about. And something that was very good and very eye-opening, what Steve Case talked about too. He said people, especially millennials, care more about purpose than they do profit to a certain extent.
Yes, yeah.
So they want to know what you're about. What are you trying to do? It isn't just about the almighty dollar all the time, and that's true as well. We know you're in business to make profit. You have to make profit to keep the doors open. But why are you doing what you're doing? And that's speaking to the heart and soul of small business. Every small business out there has the purpose. The reason that makes it so attractive and so much fun to work for is the heart that exists with a small company. And it's that purpose that drives that. The big guys tend to lose that purpose, especially when the founder gets removed from operations or sells out and goes somewhere else. I guarantee you the purpose of AOL back in the day was very, very good. And then once Steve sold it off and got uninvolved, they kind of lost their way a bit, and it was all about the dollars because he sold to a big corporation who
Sure.
bought him to make more money. And so they're milking it. It's still there's still how many millions of people still have AOL accounts?
Millions.
There's a lot, right?
In fact, I just got rid of mine here not too
I'm
long
not
ago.
good. You miss that. You miss that when you log on.
That's right. The sound of the phone. What I don't even know what that crazy scratchy sound was when you
The modem.
dialed. Oh, okay. This is-
He was telling the story about 1985 when it kind of happened, and you had to know what you're doing. And the visual going through my mind was the movie War Games with Matthew Broderick. Remember that movie, Jack? I think it
I
was
remember
about the same
I
time.
remember. Yeah.
Yeah, that big, big phone and the modem. You took the receiver and you put it in there, and here he was plugging into the Whopper computer, which was a NORAD out in Colorado, right? The Whopper, WOPR, whatever that stood for.
That's right.
He's tapping in there and playing his war games. Just trying to play a video game, right? But that's where things used to be, and so that was only 30 years ago. And now
Moves fast.
everybody's walking around, with these little devices, these little cell phone devices that have so much more computing power than that Whopper had. It's amazing. So we've come a long way. But
And we're going at a breakneck speed too. That's probably the scariest part. Stuff changes so fast, Adam, so fast. And what we're doing today, 5 years from now, is it going to be there? Well, my phone's going probably on 6 years, so it still works mostly. It does what I want. It does what I really need, pretty much flawless. So
it's all right. It still qualifies as a smartphone, even if it's an early generation smartphone. It's still a smartphone, right?
that's right.
Well,
Got to qualify the owners on these things.
that's right. So when we come back here after the break, we'll finish up with this topic. I think it's been a very good topic. We would love to hear some of your stories on it. Well, I think part of what we can do here with this show, Jack, is maybe we start to promote some of the good stories that are out there, help the owners kind of tell their stories as well. It's part of what we'd like to be able to do.
Yep.
So feel free to call in when we come back. The number is 440-946-9468. I'm Adam Sonhalter.
And I'm Jack Mancini with Maximum Value Partners. We are here to hear your how questions and help you get unstuck from wherever you may be with that how question. Give us a call, really. We're going to have some fun with it.
Stay tuned.